The shooting range. In this episode, pages of history. The first tank battle of World War II. Triathlon, comparing mid-tier Helis. And Metal Beasts, Swedish Multirole lance. The Metal Beasts section will soon be filled with new vehicles once again, but before they're finally shipped, we'd like to talk about one pretty rare and less-known Scandinavian aircraft. Please welcome the A-32A Lansen, a Swedish supersonic strike aircraft. Its name means the lance in English, so let's see how justified this militant designation really is. This machine is propelled by a turbojet engine with an afterburner. Self-sealing fuel tanks are found in the fuselage and between the wing spars. The nose of the aircraft hides the onboard radar system, and right behind it, we can see four 20mm autocannons with a total ammo pool of 720 rounds. The aircraft can also carry conventional bombs and rockets as well as countermeasure pods with chaff. The A-32 can't boast anything outstanding in aerial combat. Despite having an afterburner, it won't be able to achieve excellent speed. There's quite a few machines at the Lansen's BR that can outrace it with ease. The maneuverability is pretty decent, but again, we can't call it the most agile plane in its class. The best thing this Swedish aircraft has against enemy air is its forward-firing armament. The four 20mm autocannons with a hefty ammo pool and high muzzle velocity don't even require extra skill. What's even better, they're perfect for frontal attacks, which are the main tactic for the A-32. Now, close air support is where this aircraft shines. It's been irreplaceable in mixed battles before, but with the introduction of custom loadouts, the Lansen has almost become the best strike aircraft at its battle rating. You can compose quite a number of great loadouts, but we'd like to focus on this one. 5 250kg bombs and 16 145mm HE rockets. The main feature of this set is versatility. Medium caliber bombs are still good enough against the ground while keeping the machine pretty light. The rockets carry 3.5 kilograms of TNT equivalent each and can be used as a great way to teach AA defenses not to shoot at planes. By the way, you can use both types of ordnance interchangeably. Bombs leave no trail of smoke behind them, so an inexperienced anti-aircraft gunner might not be able to see the drop before it's too late. Rockets, on the other hand, have HE warheads and are thus capable of damaging tanks, although that might require a direct hit. The Lansen is far from perfect, but it comes with a balanced set of traits. Thanks to its nice handling, ballistic computer, and a wide choice of weapons, we can certainly call it one of the best strike aircraft at rank 6. The Germans achieved a blitz victory over the French in the 1940s, and many pin it on their vast tank superiority. We're not going to argue with this statement, but we'd like to add that it's missing part of the picture. It wasn't about the specs and performance or the number of ground vehicles used, but more about the way they were used. The Germans did a much better job at employing the forces that they had. Let's see how it panned out. Tanks can quickly reach great positions and breach enemy defenses. However, they're poor at occupying and defending cities. That's where you need good old infantry. If the enemy has created deeply entrenched positions, you might also need artillery or air support. And that logic leads us to the conclusion that tanks need to cooperate with other armed forces. But how do you organize that? One of the options is to attach tanks to existing infantry divisions. That's exactly what the French did. However, this kind of organization creates a significant problem. Infantry puts a strict limit on how fast the tanks can move. The Germans chose a different way. They created tank divisions, with each of them having everything they needed: tank regiments, motorized infantry, artillery, anti-aircraft guns, and armored reconnaissance vehicles. Most importantly, all soldiers could be transported on trucks and APCs. The human walking speed limit was not applicable anymore. The French did have similar units, but the numbers were far too small. By the 1940s, their cavalry formed 3 light motorized divisions. Each of them had 2 tank regiments with Hotchkiss and Somyua machines, 2 dragoon regiments with trucks, a regiment of motorized artillery, and recon squadrons with panars. Those divisions proved to be the most efficient part of the army and played a major role. The French expected the main battles to happen in Belgium. The local landscape was full of rivers and canals so suitable for defenses, with only the Gembloux region being a dry, flat area. The Germans could go through it like a hot knife through butter, and the French couldn't entrench there because of Belgium's neutrality. So, what was the plan? The French combined 2 light divisions into a corps commanded by General René Priou. Once the Germans attacked Belgium, he moved towards a small town called Anu. His tanks were to stop the enemy advance and hold it until the main French forces were ready to meet the Germans near Gembloux. The plan worked out almost to a T. Priou met a corps of 2 tanking divisions commanded by General Erich Höppner. On the 12th of May, the Germans reached Anu and encountered a French patrol. The Hotchkiss could stand their ground against the Panzer II, but Models 3 and 4 arrived pretty soon and knocked them out of the town. The next day saw a large-scale tank battle. Both sides made their charges. The Germans had dive bombers for support, but the French outgunned them. The French cavalry tanks began their counterattack and ruined the enemy's plans. The Somyua's armor could hold well against tank cannons, unlike the German vehicles. One of them managed to survive no less than 29 hits before leaving battle, and that only happened because it had no ammo left. So the Germans had to use their 88mm cannons against the S-25, forbidding the Panzer II from ever engaging them. It's hard to say who won that battle. In a single day, the French forces lost 105 tanks and damaged 160. They successfully completed their task, which was to stop the German advance. But the Wehrmacht still had the battlefield, and many of the damaged tanks were later repaired. Besides, this local success didn't prevent the catastrophe. The French had been wrong about the direction for the main attack. The Germans passed the Ardennes, and the southern defenses were defeated. Gembloux had to be abandoned. The French armed forces were simply too slow to react. They ended up with only 3 tank divisions against the Germans' 10. In an atmosphere of utmost urgency, 4 more heavy tank divisions were created, but it was too late. They weren't even lost in combat. Those divisions simply failed to reach the battle. It's been a while since we had a triathlon for helicopters. Now, what should we pick today? We've had reserves before. The top ones have been featured too. Oh, how about mid-tier? Battle ratings around 9.0 to 9.7? Yeah, that sounds just about right. Please welcome the participants. The American, Japanese, and Israeli Cobras, the AH-1, modifications F and S. A couple of BO-105s from Germany and Sweden, the Soviet Mi-24P, also known as the Hind, the Chinese Z-9W, the Italian A-109, and the French SA-342M, also known as the Gazelle. We would have liked to invite the British G-Lynx, but with those missiles, it would be too easy for this chopper. It needs something more modern to compete against. Let's start with checking out the top speeds of our contestants. The turbines begin to rev up. Go! All the Helis take off and start moving towards the ground battlefield. They start in a tight group, but the Mi-24 soon moves out of the Hind. In a couple minutes, it gains the lead, overtaking the French Gazelle. The Chinese, Italian, and 3 Cobra Helis seem to have similar speeds, but the German and Swedish vehicles are lagging behind. The second test will show us how well these choppers can deal with fighters armed with air-to-air missiles. The Italian and Swedish teams are struggling the most here. Their machines have no defenses against missiles, and all they can shoot back with are large-caliber machine guns. The Japanese Cobra is doing a bit better. It has a 20mm turret in the nose and a couple of miniguns on the hardpoints. The German team has even better chances since it has flares. The American Cobra is protected with an infrared and radar jammer system, while the Israeli one also has flares. The rest of the competition handles the mission with no issue at all. They simply use air-to-air missiles against the attackers. The Mi-24 also has a comprehensive set of countermeasures, but its size makes it a juicy target. Finally, let's check the ground attack capabilities of these helicopters. First, our teams will use rockets at ultra-low altitudes to attack a group of IFVs. Then they'll switch weapons and use guided missiles against target tanks at the longest possible range. The Swedish heli has to skip the first leg since it has no rockets available. The German team shows the most modest result. They only have 6 rockets on board. The Italian and the French teams do a little better. They have enough ammo to finish a couple of enemies. The Chinese heli enjoys the aid of the ballistic computer and does even better. The Hind is having some issues since its size makes low-altitude maneuvers tricky, but on the other hand, it has a huge ammo pool. The Cobras show the most impressive performance in the first stage. Now, let them switch to ATGMs. The Chinese vehicle shows the worst result, with the Italian and French ones performing just a little better. Each of the latter has 4 missiles with ranges between 3 and 4 kilometers. The German helicopter has 6 such missiles, while the Swedish one and all the Cobras have 8 ATGMs. Now, the Mi-24 can boast the strongest weapons here. Its Sturm missiles can reach targets even 5 kilometers away. Let's sum it up. The bronze goes to the French Gazelle for its excellent speed and reliable guided missiles. The silver is shared by the 3 Cobras. They all handled the missions excellently. And the gold has to be awarded to the Mi-24. It's less maneuverable than the rest of the contestants, but its top speed, numerous auxiliary systems, and efficient weaponry make it a very dangerous enemy. Well, let's answer some of your questions while the Hind is admiring the aerobatics performed by the other helis. The first question was sent by a player called Lucy the Velociraptor. Would it be possible for an arsenal section on the Saab 32A Lansen? Hi, Lucy. We've just talked about this aircraft's ordnance in the Metal Beasts, but it might also become the highlight of the arsenal section in the future, where we'll discuss its suspended armament in all the details. Callum asks, are there any Swiss vehicles in the game? Hey, Callum. Yes, there is one such machine, the Swiss version of the Hunter, available as a squadron vehicle. Another question comes from Thunderhants. What's the better ground attack aircraft, the Tu-2S or the IL-10? Hi there, Thunderhants. Those aircraft are completely different, so it wouldn't be fair to do a straightforward comparison. If we narrow it down to comparing the number of ground vehicles they can destroy, we'd choose any modification of the Tu-2S. AP Gaming writes, can we get a top SPAA triathlon? Hi there. We've had it before, but maybe we'll update it later. Why not? Let's just wait for the game nations to get their new top-tier SPAAs. And the last comment for today was written by Mateus Carneiro de Costa. Does the APS system on the T-55, AMD-1, Merkava, or Black Knight work inside smokes? Hi, Mateus. Yes, the APS systems detect incoming projectiles with radars, so they don't care about smokes. Here's a demonstration. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to fly low and aim high on your chopper. Leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.